What's up, everybody? It's your boy back in the Hana podcast with your other boy, Pastor Elwin. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Uh, we're both wearing hats today. We didn't plan this at all.
Yeah, today's a hat day.
Yeah, it is kind of.
No, women get bad hair days. We get hat days. I think
Yeah,
once you wear the hat,
I didn't.
once you wear the hat, you cannot go back.
Whenever I wear a hat, my hair gets all like real flat,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
then
yeah,
I'm just like, well, I guess I'm wearing a hat today.
yeah, yeah. And I just
Anyway,
found out today the person who cuts my hair, I'm due for a haircut
mhm.
this week. She texted me. She goes, "Sorry, I just got tested positive for COVID." Shucks.
Uh-oh.
I'm glad I didn't see her like last week.
Yeah. Well, I got a pair of buzzers. I got some scissors if you want to come over. Just let me know whenever you want.
Yeah.
Hey, we're here to discuss your past week's message, but before that, not a ton of announcements right now, but we would really just wanted to encourage you to get involved at Metro. We're going to talk about this at the end, but we're always looking for volunteers to help make the church happen, especially in next gen. So Metro Kids and Alive, the youth ministries. And we always need more people. And I loved on Sunday, Brandon said it is not childcare, it's not babysitting. We have lessons, we get together and we teach them about Jesus. And it's super, super fun. So we really want to encourage you to get involved somewhere in the church, serving somewhere. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But we just wanted to get that right off the top because we're about to jump into it. Man, this week, I was reading the synopsis and I saw what this week was supposed to be about. And I was like, oh boy, I wonder how this is going to go. Like Mark of the Beast, End Times. Man,
Vaccination.
it is such a can of worms that you can really get into. But sitting there, I was just so appreciative of how well you handled all of it. Just with, especially with the context, explaining context in Revelation and all of that.
Yeah.
And we talked about what is the mark of the beast. What does it look like? Is the vaccine the mark of the beast? Which, spoiler alert, no. And man, it was just so much. I felt like it was just so much information. How did you go about studying for this week?
You pray. You pray. So again, this series is responding to questions that people had written in. So we gave them, a certain group a chance to write some questions and stuff. And so when I started seeing these questions come in, these questions come in, I thought, okay, maybe I'll let Brandon take this one and Brandon take this one. But when you pray about it, and the big word that I used, over the weekend was context. Context. It breaks it down. It breaks it down simple enough that you can make sense out of it and begin to explain it. And to me, the crux of any message, whether you're listening to someone else talk, not even us, or when you're reading any article, is what is the application for yourself? Don't jump there right away. Don't jump immediately. Well, what does it mean for me? And get the good context of it. But in the end, is so what do I do about that? That's why I said the most important question was what Jared asked me. So what, Dad? So you get all this head knowledge, you get all this information. So what? What do you do with it? So I think that's the important part.
Yeah, I had a good conversation after with one of the aunties in the foyer. She was asking some questions. And I just said one of the things. So I went to Bible college. I had to study all this stuff. And one of the things that someone told me that really helped me out with all of this is the phrase "don't major in the minors."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, there's all these like people have written dissertations on the book of Revelation. But like at the end of the day, are you following Jesus? Are you living like Jesus? Like, don't get so caught up in all of the small, minute details that it derails your life from following Jesus.
Yeah. And that's why one thing that we talked about was, you spend so much time trying to figure out who the Antichrist is that you miss the whole mark. Revelation is about revealing Jesus Christ, not the Antichrist. So don't get caught up, like you said, in the minors. And was it a white horse or a red horse? It doesn't matter. Jesus is coming, and that we know is true. I think one thing I said was, when you read books like this, apocalyptic letters, you got to remember context, context, context. But I was thinking about it this morning. I kind of do a review in my mind, and I said, I should have also mentioned this other word. It's an important word, and that is the source. Consider the source, because what you're reading, who you're reading about, especially in today's world, and there's so many conspiracies and all that. But you go check your sources. And I think we should do a whole message on, there shouldn't be a gospel according to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Or there is no gospel called Google, but we go there for information and to find out what is the truth and interpretation. And, no. So where did I start? I start with prayer. I go, Lord, so what are you saying here, man? What's going on here? And you jump into context. So what are you saying? Why are you saying it? Why did they have to know about this? So what did they have to do with it? So the information that John wrote to these churches, what did they do with this stuff? And then you say, okay, well, how does it apply to me? So, yeah.
Yeah, I really like the way that you broke down, like, here's why it's these certain churches that he's writing to. And you were talking about how they're like important churches in cities that got a lot of traffic and everything. And so he's trying to make sure that like they understand, because these are the important places that are going to like spread the information.
Yeah, it's going to go out.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of gospel according to Google, which I think that could be like a sermon title or a series or something.
Yeah,
that's compelling. It's even got alliteration.
Yeah.
One of the points that you made was to not let fear control your life, and especially in the context of the end times. Mark of the beast, all of that. We can get so caught up in like looking at news articles and like trying to do the detective. There's newspaper clippings with the yarn connecting them all. Yeah. I wanted to ask, where do you draw the line between fear and caution? Because like I think I'm a good driver, but I still wear my seatbelt when I drive.
Yeah. Fearful living is when you stop living. See, the Lord said, John 10:10, yeah, devil has come to steal, kill, and destroy. And I often stop there and I go, steal what? Steal the joy of living, steal the passion to live. He's come to steal, kill your spirit, kill your hope, kill your plans for your future. So all of that stuff is a work of the devil. Like I pointed out in John, where he says, if you speak of God, then that's of Jesus, then that's of God. If you speak against Jesus, then that's the Antichrist, basically what he said. The devil has come to steal, kill, and destroy any dreams that God has for your life, any ability to live out according to the gifts that he's given you. You talk about serving and getting involved and stuff. It's the enemy, really, when you think about it. And I'm not going to really over spiritualize this. I'll try not to. But when you have these feelings like, that's not me. Well, I can't do that. Well, I don't want to get involved with that. Well, I don't have time. That's kind of like the enemy, because the Lord really wants us to be involved together, to help to serve one another. I come to serve and not to be served, was the words that Jesus used. And so how can we better fulfill that mission and assignment that God has given us to help one another? Because when we're serving, especially with Metro Kids, you're not really just serving the kids. You're not just helping them to understand Jesus. You're releasing their parents so the parents can understand in a deeper way what they need to know about Jesus. And so when we say things like, I don't have time for that. Well, I don't know about that. That's really not for me. You're really not doing what I think God is asking all of us to do together. On Sunday at the live service, Brandon brought up one of the guys who's just recently volunteered, and he's been coming to Metro for only 3 months now. So since we opened up, he started attending, and he's a big guy, and he's not an audio technician or anything to do with cameras or anything like that in his day job.
Mm-hmm.
But he said this, Brandon asked him, so why are you serving in the tech department, trying to learn cameras and all that? And the guy said, well, I've been coming 3 months now. And there was a message that Pastor Elwin gave about Zacchaeus. And, maybe some of you are that tree, the sycamore tree that supported Zacchaeus so he could see Jesus and learn. And when Pastor Elwin said that, I thought, I can do that. I can be a tree that supports somebody else so they can, learn Jesus. And I turned to the person I was standing next to. I said, that's why I got to come to church, because I forget what I say sometimes. I forget that I said that.
You're like, whoa, that's good. Wait, I said that? Whoa.
Yeah. Wow. So he's serving not so that he can get anything out of it. He's serving because he's going to allow someone else to get something out of it. And so when it comes to, the enemy and living in fear, I think we live in fear when we waste away the assignment God has given us. And living in faith is, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? What do we need to do together as a church? What do we need to do together as a people? And whether I feel that I have that connection or I have that gifts and abilities, I'm going to step out in faith and I'm going to live like that. So it kind of all ties in.
I like that, because sometimes I'll hear that, like, that phrase of like, don't put faith over fear. And it's like, it can seem kind of YOLO-y, where it's like, just do whatever. But I really like that way of like, it's not letting yourself be held back by anything. Yeah. And so it's not like, like, have faith over fear and jump off spitting caves, but it's like, have faith in doing what God has called you to.
Yeah. It's not the no fear and you run and you smash the wall. I don't think Jesus is talking about that. Again, context. I'm putting everything into context. What did Jesus want us to do? He wants us to be my witnesses. He wants us to go and make disciples. He wants us to serve one another. So put all those things in perspective of your own life. Yeah. So how are you living your life out so that you are being a witness? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to share my testimony. Who's going to listen to me? Okay, that's fear. That's fear. Well, be my witness. Go and make disciples of all nations. Well, does that mean I have to go on a mission trip? No, just in your neighborhood, just with your family. Jump in a ministry that we can start to make disciples of others. Well, I don't know if I can do that. Okay, that's fear. Faith is saying, Lord, this is your assignment, man. This is what you want me to do. So let's do it. And not be afraid of failing or being rejected. Or I think that's the context that you're talking about.
Speaking of not being afraid of failing or anything, have you had any conversations with Elevator Guy?
Elevator Guy.
Yeah, we were talking a few weeks back about like there's a dude
no, we got in again. Hi. A long conversation.
Oh man. Yeah, there's still the guy with the cool truck down the street. I've been walking a lot, just trying to like catch him outside. Oh, hey, what's up? Oh.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet. Yeah. So context is one of the most important things when we're reading, especially about something like this. Pastor Owen, where do you go to get the context, to learn the historical, original intent, original author, things like that?
You start off with first of all reading. Yeah, you read and then you see everything, and then Google is okay. Just don't make it your gospel. Google is okay to give you leads, and then you take the leads and then follow the source. You got to follow the source. Now, okay, well, what do I mean by that? Well, don't let it lead you to Wikipedia. Those are not citation things. Go to sources where you have people that have written some interesting articles, deeper dives in the matter. Now, this depends how deep you want to go. Yeah, how much you really want to go. If you want to do a self-study, it requires that. There's certain kinds of research techniques that you need to use if you're in a master's program or a PhD program. And I don't think you want to do that. But I think search. What I do is I search and I find, okay, that sounds interesting. Okay, let me check another place. Okay, that sounds interesting. Okay, let me check another place. And then if I see things start to line up, I think, okay, so does that make sense? You gotta apply reason to you. You cannot just read something and go, okay, well, that must be it. No, think about it. Take what somebody's saying, and then you apply it to this, and you think, my best source is Joy, my wife. You don't have to be a Bible scholar. You really don't. But if you understand the context of the whole Bible as a whole, and the nature of God and the purpose and all that, that's why I always say, don't read Bible in sound bites, but understand every day. The importance of reading the Bible every day is, you cannot read the whole Bible in one day. I don't think anybody can, but some people do. But read the Bible every day to give you the full context of what the Bible is talking about, because you're trying to learn about God himself and God's nature. Well, he did that in that situation. Well, he did that in that situation. So what does that tell you about the nature of God? That's theology. What does it tell you about the nature of God? And then you start looking at, when you look at Revelation, okay, what does this tell you about the nature of God? What is he really saying here? And so you don't really have to do a PhD study dissertation type of research.
Okay.
But don't take a Google article and go, okay, well, that's it. That must be the truth then. Use it as a way of finding out, okay, that's what that said. That's what that person said. Okay, who are these guys? And do a little background check on who these authors are. Who's writing this stuff? Did they write any articles that's been published? I don't think you want to look at their dissertations, but has it been published in any recognized journals? That's what you want to find.
Like peer-reviewed kind.
Yeah, peer review kind of stuff. Yeah.
Because that is a thing for like theologians and like people who study the Bible. There are like, not societies, but like there are organizations where they kind of check each other's work, and like make sure that they're not going off on something crazy. So if you are able to use something like Google, or what got me through a lot of high school is, don't do this, but if you go to Wikipedia, you can scroll down and go to the sources that they used, and it's just like, free source. But you really got to be careful, especially in today with like all these deep fakes and people being able to write whatever they want and publish it on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, just take Disney, for example. So I use the example of Disney.
Oh, yeah, that was
Disney,
crazy.
Being 666. And go try and Google that. Try and Google Walt Disney or Disney, the Beast, or 666. Well, you're going to come up with some crazy websites. And this one that I was looking at, and this guy spends a whole time on a video that he's published. And he takes all the cartoons that Disney has created and he freeze frames it. In these family movies.
For real?
No, I'm for real, yeah. He'll freeze frame a shot out of that cartoon, like Snow White or something. And then he'll enlarge in the very corner of that cartoon. He'll blow it up and he'll say, you see, there's a mark of the devil right there. And so that means Disney or his writers and creators were all about worshiping the devil. And then he'll show another movie, and he'll freeze frame it. And he goes and he blows, enlarges that little etch in the corner. And he outlines it. It's like the outline of the Triton, the spear thing. And that's a mark of the devil. And this guy's nuts, man. What are you drinking? Jeez.
Sometimes I wonder.
Sure ain't Disney.
Sometimes I wonder how the church specifically would be different if people like that would put all that effort, instead of like blowing up freeze frames of Disney movies, into serving others.
Yeah. Yeah. because I'm sure what he's trying to say is that, Christians should beware of these kind of things. And you're right, again, majoring in the minors, why don't you spend that time to research and to use your abilities in technique and technology to preach the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
You're spending so much time trying to find evidences of the absence of God. What the point that I made on Sunday. Look for the presence of God. You're spending all this time looking for the absence of God. Where's God present in your life, in our life? So.
I thought that was such a good point, because we do often focus so much on what's going wrong, or worry about if Disney movies are actually, the mark of the beast and all of that. I think that if we flip that, as you were saying, and just focus okay, where is the story of God in this? Where is God blessing me in this? Then I think our lives would be a lot different too.
Yeah. And if you boil it down to its basic essential, God is. Okay. That's it. That's it. God is. God created all things, sovereign, and God wins in the end.
Mm-hmm.
If you just look at life like that, you get away from. I'm reading through the book of Job right now. So in my devotions, it's all about the book of Job, and you know how that goes. Yeah. So he doesn't deserve, all these boils and all that, but he gets hit because God said to Satan, my servant Job, faithful guy, go ahead. You just can't take his life. And so all the friends are giving him advice. You're this way because of this and that. And Job begins kind of, on the right side, I would say, but after a while, it becomes almost an if-then proposition, where Job is saying, well, if I have done all these things, then, And I remember writing in one of my devotional things, I said, that's the kind of life that we live. Yeah, we live a quid pro quo life. We think, if this, then it must be this. If I sin, then I should be getting it. But if I didn't sin, then I should be getting. And in the end, spoiler alert, if you haven't read Job, God says, hey, I'm the one in control.
Yeah.
I'm the one. I am, is what he says. I am. You have no business telling me what to do, how to plan, how your life is going to turn out. This is me. I planned this out for you, and the sovereignty of God and all that. So I think sometimes we get so caught up in trying to find the little things that happen in our lives. Oh, then that must mean I'm not the good person, or that must mean that I sinned here or sinned there. Well, you might have, but hey, God still loves, God still forgives. Are you seeking God? Or are you seeking the wrong things that you're doing in life?
So if there are people, whether it's us listening to this, or people in our lives that are trying to send us screenshots of Disney movies and just searching for those little things, how do you stop focusing so intently on the little things, on the looking for the evidence of not God, and how do you make that transition to just thinking more of God, or looking more for what God is doing in your life?
I think there's an illustration that people have used in the past, and maybe you've heard this. It depends which dog you're feeding. You feed the dog this kind of meat, that's what he's going to want. He's going to want more and more of this kind of type of food. And you feed the other one, the good stuff, then that's what he's going to want, the good stuff. So, what are you feeding? What are you eating? What are you seeking? What are you looking to consume? And that's the choice you got to make. It's not a choice I'm going to make. And so, if I'm dealing with someone, as a pastor, and the person is going down that road, the best I can do is show him what the good food is, and it's up to you. I can't make you eat this stuff. Here it is. It's right here, and Bible says this. That's why we always go to the source. The Bible is your source. Okay, let's check this out. Why don't you spend more time serving? Why don't you spend more time doing this? And if they choose to say, nah, I'd rather go this way. I think there's a phrase that God uses in heaven that we don't hear, but I'm sure he's saying it. up to you. Up to you, really. So
Okay. Speaking of like being in, getting the good stuff, the very end, you brought out your new toy, the blowtorch.
yeah.
Quick question: what did you use that for? Like, are you cooking with it? Making some creme brulee?
You use it to make creme brulee. I've seen it used. This is what I'm going to use it for, or what I want to use it for. In fact, I used it last night.
Ooh.
So, were you there at the 10 o'clock or the
I
8
was.
o'clock?
It was very funny. If you weren't at the
It
10
was
o'clock,
hilarious.
he brought it out. It was this like serious moment, and then he clicks it and it doesn't work. And he goes, "Hey, wait a minute."
Yeah, so the blowtorch has a couple of dials. One controls the intensity of the heat,
Mm-hmm.
and there's another dial that controls the oxygen level.
Oh.
And so if it's completely open and there's no oxygen going in, basic, you need heat, fuel, and oxygen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know who touched it. I have my suspicions, but I don't know who touched it. And I didn't figure it out till after the service. So after the 10 was done, I thought, well, maybe this, and it worked, But anyway, the blowtorch, I think if you watched the service online, you saw it working. Okay. But I had more fun with it on Sunday. But what I want to use it for is you can make creme brulee, of course. But last night I made creme brulee French toast. So you make the French toast, this thick slice of French toast, and you drizzle sugar on the top, and you torch that baby until it gives this crispy surface.
All right, I'm coming over.
Unbelievable. And so when you cut it, you hear it crunch,
I'll trade you a haircut for a slice.
I'd be on the next cooking show. But I also want to use it for when you make a sushi, like salmon or maguro or something, and you get a little maybe garlic mayo with some sweet onion on top, and you use that to torch the mayo, gives it a little. Or you get if you get otoro or even maguro, and you score it, and you lightly kind of tataki the top. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Wait a minute. How do we start talking about food again?
I don't know.
So the illustration that you use the blowtorch for was the idea of doing life on your own. And you had the little charcoal and how you can light a charcoal on its own, but it'll die out really quickly. You can light the charcoal through coming to a service, whether online or in person, but then Monday evening, Tuesday morning, you're kind of dying out already. You can go through all the different studies or listen to worship music in the car, but then like afterwards your fire starts to die out. And you're making the point that when you're in community, when you're doing life together with other people who are on fire and chasing after Jesus, then it's much easier to have that longevity. So how do you get into that community? How do you find those people in your life that are gonna like keep you lit?
Yeah, I think the first thing that you want to start with is always the why question. And the why question was, why do I need to come to service? Because people are watching things online, and we've been doing this for a while. It's been over a year now, and it's cool. It's fine. We try to do the best that we can as a staff with our resources to give you the best quality video, the messages, and all that online. However, the point that I made in the service was we are reaching the end times. And in the end times, we have to find a way of really sticking together because people are going to have all kinds of questions. I said they're spiritually curious. And the more we can stick together, the more we can answer these questions, the more we can discover the answers to these questions, because people are going to ask. And so the way that you do that is, you can get hot and on fire by yourself by watching it online or doing a Zoom call. You can be in Zoom with everybody and say, "Oh, I'm connected," but it's over Zoom, and it's okay. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it kind of peters out. But if you're physically start to come back together, is what I'm saying. And people have their reasons. I totally respect it. But someday, when you feel safe enough, we should really start to come back together, because the Bible says in Hebrews 10:25, don't forsake assembling together.
Mm.
And you're talking about the last days where we need to start to come back together again.
So what do you think? What do you think the difference is between meeting like in person versus on Zoom? Because I was just talking to a friend, and they have like a small group that's on Zoom, and they're saying that they really enjoy it because like one person lives west side, one person lives east side, one person lives in town, and
Yeah.
just like as opposed to having to drive and find parking and fight with traffic and all of that, they can just hop on, just be together,
Yeah.
and then it's a little more convenient. So what do you think the benefits either way are?
This is what I heard from someone who were talking about this. They said, the technology we have to meet people online is great. So you have dating apps, you have eHarmony or whatever, and people will meet online and they'll have a great relationship online. But have you ever heard of a marriage that stayed together 6 years online? Eventually you're going to have to come together. Eventually you want that relationship to be face to face. And I think the best reason is, I'll give you one example of why being online isn't going to take you the long haul. Because I can do this right now. I can press this button called DELETE, and I'm done with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you say something and I don't know, beep, gone. Versus if you're together and you have differences of opinion or whatever, hey, let's talk this thing through. And you've developed a relationship. There's something about humanity where the relationship isn't necessarily bridged by simply being online. There is a connection. There's an interpersonal connection that has to take place. I think that's just how we're wired. And we can use this as a means to create that relationship. But eventually, over time, there needs to be a connection between what you call it, spirits or souls or whatever.
Yeah.
We start getting knitted with one another.
I get that. So you're saying don't let online be the end all be all.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with it. It's good. It helped us get through all this whole thing. And some people have gotten into the habit. I understand that. I get it. When we want people to change, you want to read the Bible, what I'll tell you is read it for 21 days straight. Why? Because somehow the magic number is you do something for 21 days straight, it becomes habitual. Folks who've been doing online for a year, what is your habit? It's become habitual. But I think, and when we get to heaven, we'll ask God this, but did you intend for us to just see each other like this? Or did you really intend for us to be together? And I would go with the latter.
I mean, as you said, totally at whoever's discretion. If you feel comfortable, we encourage you to have the conversation with your doctor to see if you should get vaccinated. But Cameron was telling me earlier that he's got a connect group that meets online, and then they're planning a fishing day where they're all going to get together and go fishing. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm going to join the connect group for that one day.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to teach me how to slide on and catch the ulua.
Yeah, I mean, but coming together in person doesn't mean every week. It doesn't have to mean, you're going to have to live with the person. But I really think that something happens when we start to connect. And I think it's just spirit. I think it's a spiritual thing. As David and Jonathan, their spirits were knitted together. It wasn't online. They were knitted together because of the time they spent together. And that's the kind of relationship that God is looking for between us.
Yeah, so we encourage, if you're comfortable, meet safely. You can be at the beach, you can go fishing, you can meet outside, spread out in the sun, everything. Be safe. And one of the great ways to connect with people and to get that community around you is through the connect groups that we have at Metro. So just like Cam, he's got that connect group, and they're going to go ulua hunting. And I'm jealous because I'm gonna force my way in there. But if you want to join a Connect group, you can head over to our website, metrochristianchurch.com. There's a Connect group finder where they meet online, in person, whatever works for you, and you can find more information there. So we really, really encourage. We think that Connect groups, small groups, is the best way for someone to grow as a follower of Jesus, because it's really where those tough conversations can happen.
Yeah. I got a Connect group. What if we did one where everybody bring your own stove and we all cook a meal?
A whole stove?
Your own stove. No, you
Oh,
know,
like a little one.
Those portable things. Yeah. And everybody
Gotcha.
cooks your own meal. And then
It's
we
like
can study
potluck
the
for one.
word. And that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
We exchange recipes. And
Yeah.
like a book club. We do like a stovetop cooking club.
Dinner club. Oh,
Breaking bread.
Good. Oh, Pastor Owen, I'm gonna have to come over and you're gonna have to make me some food sometime.
I'll just use my torch and I'll burn everybody else's once then mine tastes the best.
All right. Well, hey, Pastor Owen, thank you. This was a great conversation, and I think that this series, you keep hyping up the alien one, so I cannot wait. I can't wait to hear it.
I might let this guy, because I watched his video, and again, I critiqued it and everything, and this guy's pretty right on. And so rather than me do the research, I might let this guy do it. And it was really good. It was really good. But we'll see. Yeah.
Well, right on. I'm looking forward to it. I hope that you all are enjoying the series and everything we've been talking about too. And we'll see you for service next week, online, in person, in your Connect groups. Aloha, everybody.
Yep. Thanks, Willie.
All right. Shoot.
See ya.